Is there a way to get like a thumbs up if you can hear me? Ah, there we go. Hey, thanks for joining, Mr. Society. I don't know if you saw it. What we're doing here is a little bit different than some of the lives that I joined you and some others on Friday night and over the weekend. Very different topics here. Very different goal. I'll just kind of explain what it is that we're doing. I don't know if people will see it or I think it records. Um, I'm Ryan. I'm a hospice chaplain. I've done that for 15 years. If you're not familiar with that, hopefully you don't know much about hospice or you haven't had that experience. But if you have, you maybe met a hospice chaplain at some point. So I'm with folks at the end of their life, providing support to patients and their families, folks with terminal illnesses. And about 3 years ago, uh, I started a project that has sort of snowballed, and essentially is trying to address problems within the church, historically within the white Protestant kind of evangelical Christian church that I grew up in. And the problems are many, it seems. So I have been asking folks as part of my job. I have to ask them what their religious background is, what their denomination is, and so I've asked a lot of folks that question over the last 3 years. And the folks that say that they don't go to church, they stopped going to church, I usually will follow up with, why is that? And the responses have been kind of all over the place. Some people stopped going because of a whole bunch of reasons. There's 13 reasons that I kind of recorded that I heard more than one time, and they're increasing in the number of people that gave that response. And I've listed it on TikTok, so you can see the 13 reasons. But today we are talking about reason number 2, the second most common response that I got when asking people about their experience with church and why they don't go anymore. The number 2 reason I got was what we called church hurt. Now, somebody pointed out to me a couple of days ago that calling it church hurt is maybe not the right word. Church trauma or abuse or whatever the case may be. So there was a lot of people, I think it was like 31 folks, that gave that as their response. And there's other responses too. Some people left because of financial corruption, or the last couple of weeks we've talked about folks in the LGBTQ community. A lot of people don't go to church because they are a part of that community, a member of that community, and they don't feel welcome at church, where they have a family member who's a part of that community, and because that family member, the person that they love, does not feel welcome at the church, they no longer are interested in going to the church. I'm trying to think of some other examples. Other people left because life got too busy. Other people left because of, I think I mentioned financial corruption. A lot of people left during COVID. So I think that was like the number 7 answer why people stopped going and they don't go back. But the number 2 answer, the second most common answer that we got, was this church hurt. And I've had, I don't know how many conversations about people that were hurt in the church, some of them in uh, pretty horrible ways that you can probably imagine. I know there's words we can't say on TikTok. I'm learning that the hard way sometimes. Um, some people that left that were hurt in horrible ways. I mean, they're all horrible, but I guess in different ways. I saw Susan, I think. I don't want to put you on the spot, but I know you and I have talked a little bit before. I don't know how to invite people up. Mr. Society can tell you, thanks for all the likes, Mr. Society. Mr. Society is one of the first people I met on TikTok on Friday night. That was a lot of fun, and I was up way too late. I'm still recovering from that, but I learned a lot in that conversation. So I don't know if that makes sense, but there are 13 reasons that had multiple responses for why people don't go to church anymore, and they are all pretty valid. This is a heavy one. I mean, they're all heavy, but I have heard a lot of stories. My hope tonight was to hear other folks rather than to have me tell you what I heard from other people. Although I'm happy to do either one. If anyone would, what does that mean? Like guests? How does that work? Sorry, this is not something I've done before. I
Hey
don't know if you
man,
can hear me.
hold on. I gotta get my headphones.
Hey, there's. How do I invite you, Susan?
All right, can you hear me?
I can. Thanks for jumping
Okay,
in,
good.
man. My
No
first
problem.
my first guest.
All right, I'm gonna walk you through some things. Okay, so
Yeah.
first off, what you're gonna do is go to the comment section and click my name. If you can see my name, click my name or click the
Yep.
picture of my name. All right. Once you see the box on the side that comes up, go to the three dots.
Yep.
All right. You want to go add moderator.
Yep.
All right. Scroll down and you should check everything that is like make sure everything is scrolled to the side. They actually show the blue.
It looks like everything is except for live recordings
Okay. Now don't worry about live recordings. Keep
and
on
manage
scrolling down.
guests and more.
You need to make sure that one's checked off, manage guests and more.
Okay.
All right. Everything should be
Confirm.
done, right?
Yep.
Okay, scroll all the way down and I think you should hit save or whatever red button down there says
Confirm.
right? Confirm. All right. Now that I'm a moderator, I can manage your guests. All right. So I can actually go into your guests or go into your or invite anybody up at this point. All right. So I know your goal is probably not to deal with coins and everything like that. So we're gonna just make sure whenever people come in, I'm just going to make sure that we type in, we just keep on tapping the screen. That's going to be our main goal right now, and to get people up in here to actually
Okay.
talk to you about your subject.
Hey, I appreciate it. Since you know your stuff here, can I ask a couple other questions?
Of course.
You are absolutely right that the coins, I saw some coins after a couple of lives. Literally, the first time I ever tried this was Friday night on Viper Vets live. They let me in there on at 10 o'clock on Friday night. That was the first time I've ever been in somebody else's live. I've done lives the last 2 weeks. So this is the third time I've come on here and done a live myself. But during the last couple times I've done a live, I had a kind of a wild one a couple nights ago. I was in the live of someone named Good Trouble who has like millions of followers.
I love
And
him.
I requested up, and somehow he let me up, which I wouldn't have thought was ever going to happen. And I was in there for a while, and uh, I got some coins, and so it says that my balance is like $2.46. Does that
Okay.
make sense?
Yes, it makes perfect sense. So
And you
there's
can,
two ways how this can go. Okay. What I do with my coins, since I don't have a PayPal anymore, is that I make sure all my coins are back. All what I got that what I got from the live, I make sure it's in coins so I can support others. Okay.
right.
It's a very complicated situation on how to actually make those coins turn, that dollars turn into coins, but it is possible. You have to go into your profile, your settings, and then go to account, and then you have to go from there. I had to play with it for literally like freaking 5 minutes to actually make sure I did everything correctly. But if you do have a PayPal, you can immediately put it to your PayPal.
Well, here's the thing. I have coins. I had coins from the beginning, 71 coins or something from the first time I was live. There's coins, and then there's like a dollar amount balance.
Yeah. So
And
the
you can
dollar,
change the dollar amount balance to coins, I think, like exchange it to get 300 coins or something.
Yes. Yes. However many, it literally like equals, 1 coin equals like 2 cents. So,
Okay.
so you can literally change everything from from that dollar to back to coins. So that way you can do whatever you want with those coins. All right. Like I said, me telling you offhand how to do it is, I don't know how to tell you offhand unless I'm doing it with you. So that's going to be another thing that, we have to go through together. All right. At a later point.
Yeah, I hear you. Here's the thing that may or may not help. It's a long story, but I think part of the problem with the church in my lifetime is financial corruption and money.
Hmm.
And so I am kind of adamantly opposed to any money involved in this church whatsoever. So actually, when I saw I have a balance of $2.46, I was like, that's not good. Like I don't want that. So what I tried to do last night or 2 nights ago is I tried to take that $2.46, exchange it for coins, and then I send it all to Princess. Or like when I was on another live, I just get rid of this because I don't want to introduce money into this. I think money is a huge part of the problem in church. And we
Hmm.
could that's a long thing to unpack, but that's my take. And so I was at first the first time I was live, I was like, please don't. I saw the hearts go up, which is just somebody liking the live, and I was like, please don't do that because I don't want to introduce money to this in like ever. I'm never gonna ask. I'm never gonna ask people for money. I'm never gonna have merchandise that I'm gonna try to sell. I'm never gonna. The purpose of this is kind of adamantly
Informational.
against that. So I think if I keep it on, like if I have money and I can exchange it for coins and I can give those coins to some other live, then I'm not
Yeah.
going to get. Then it's never really my money because it's my money if you try to take it off TikTok, right, and put it in my bank.
Yeah.
But if I don't ever do that, then it won't be an issue. I hope. But I don't know
Correct.
if that makes sense.
No, that's it. That's what I do with my coin. When I get a dollar of mileage, I just literally transfer it back to coins, and I use it to actually support others.
Perfect. Yeah, I will do the same. Yeah, here's where we're at. I'll tell you, Mr. Society, kind of why I'm on TikTok. It's or Instagram. I do most of the stuff on Instagram, and I just started recently. As you can tell, I don't really know how to do this or what I'm doing, but there has been a shift in the church in my lifetime, and as a result of this shift toward kind of this Christian nationalist version of Christianity that I'm not on board with, and I know a lot of people are also not on board with, and so they've left church for a whole bunch of different reasons. And as a result, we're kind of just on our own. We're sort of like, I'm not plugged into a church anymore, or I tried church and I left for any of these number of reasons. And now I am still maybe people still consider themselves a Christian, but they're not plugged into any church because of fill in the blank reason: financial corruption,
You're
uh,
right.
church hurt. The number one reason is that Christians are hateful and judgmental. It's the number
Right.
one reason why people don't go to church. So we're trying to create at least some kind of community or some because I don't think because you left the church, if you're still a Christian, I don't think you should not have an option to be part of a group of some sort. Like have some community of fellow followers of Christ or whatever term folks use. A lot of people don't want to say Christian, don't want to say they're Christian anymore because when they say they're Christian, a lot of folks have an idea in their mind of what that is, and it's not a good thing that comes to mind. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. I get everything that you're saying. So
Yeah.
when I'll be honest, I didn't go to church because I don't go to church anymore because I end up being busy on Sundays. I work and whatnot, all that type of stuff. So that's
Mm-hmm.
the reason why I haven't gone to church in probably a while. But my uncle is a pastor at a church. So whenever I do get to go to church, I go to his. All right. So
Yeah.
that's the good part about it is when I do get to go to church, I do go to church. All right.
Yeah.
However, um, yeah, when actually saying, "Hey, I'm a Christian," it actually can veer, and that's the part that I don't like. It can veer towards political, and that's the
Yeah.
problem. Okay, instead of being, "Hey, I'm just a Christian," living life around here. I love God just like the next person in the world, but I don't assert myself, my Christian values, on my political beliefs. And that would be the issue that we have right now is that the Christian values and political beliefs are being blended so
Yes.
heavily
Yes.
to where we can't even tell if you are actually are a Christian
Right.
or not, or you just a person that likes to cause riots, which that would be
Right.
very, very bad. So, um, I totally get everything that you're trying to do, and you're going through. Um, yeah, me helping you as much as possible, I'll tell you that much. Um, trying to figure out what else. I don't know what else to actually help to say to actually add on, but
No.
that's about all.
I am so grateful for your help tonight and for Friday night. Even I've thought a lot about those conversations. The first time I was a guest on someone's live, you were a part of that, and I learned a ton from that. This has been really helpful, just like administratively, your help kind of
Hmm.
figuring out how this works and figuring out how to do this. So I really appreciate it. And what you just said, the merging, the blending of Christianity and politics is a very real issue. Yeah, I've heard that a lot. I think it was the number four reason people left or don't go to church anymore is politics
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
something called Christian nationalism. Because what has sort of happened over the last decade is to be Christian is to be very conservative politically. And it's sort of gotten to a point where if I am not that, if I am not very conservative politically, I cannot be a Christian. And I don't agree with that at all. I don't think those two things are synonymous. I'm starting to think they're becoming almost opposite of each other in many ways. So, and
Yes.
I mean, for anyone that's interested, this is not new. There is historical time precedents when this has happened. They're not good. It never goes well when Christianity tries to merge with a government. It goes horribly, and it goes horribly quickly. So it's happened gradually. I think I've talked to some people that's like it started happening before my lifetime, before 43 years ago,
Hmm.
that this has happened. And right now it's gotten to a point where you got, if you're Christian, you have to be MAGA is kind of the feel. And I am not accepting of that. There's a guy named, I mentioned this in another post, but there's a guy in the 30s, the German Christian church sort of merged with the regime in Germany that was starting in the 30s, and the almost the entirety of the Christian, it was called the German Evangelical Church, became part of the regime in Germany. And there was a couple of pastors that said that's not Christian. This is not Christian, and so they broke off and they started something called the Confessing Church. There's a guy named Dietrich Bonhoeffer that was a pivotal role. He and a couple other guys that started this Confessing Church, and it was tiny and very a very dangerous thing to do, to go against, to oppose this monstrosity that the church had sort of absorbed. And so I'm not suggesting that that's where we're at now. Sometimes it feels like we're closer to that or heading in that direction. And I just want to be a Dietrich Bonhoeffer, if that makes any sense. I want to think of this as a possibility of like a confessing church, but not just because of the political reasons. If people left because they're gay and they don't feel comfortable at the church that they grew up in because they're gay and that church doesn't allow or accept or kind of condemns that lifestyle, so they don't go to that church anymore. I would love to have it here, or I want to at least offer a place for people who have left the church for any of the 13 reasons that we'll discuss. Um,
I can't. That's why I don't go to. I'm a Catholic. Raised a Catholic and everything. Went to private schools with Catholic churches and everything like that. So I love the Catholic Church.
yeah.
I was altar boy. I actually wanted to become a priest at one point, right? But to see how later on in life, how they ostracize the LGBTQIA community just because, oh, that's not what God intended for you, type of thing. Well, here's the thing, I don't like that. I'm
Yeah.
going to be the person of being like, well, you don't want this person to live their life. And don't get me wrong, hey, yeah, I'm not going to thwart your opinion, but however, I'm going to thwart your opinion on someone else who does not want to, who wants to live their life.
Right.
Live, I want somebody to live their life as they want to in the world that we live in today.
Yeah.
Okay? If you have a problem with that, don't speak to them. That's my fault. Don't speak to them at all. Because you can go to a church and not speak to anybody. Just sit there, listen to the sermon, listen to the pastor, listen to the priest, and then go home after that. Because you don't
Yeah.
have to socialize. It's that you choose to socialize and you choose to actually point that out to someone that you're not supposed to. Leave
Right.
certain people alone. Let them go. And this side ear ringer or Siri, yeah, I don't know how you say it. How you doing there, buddy?
Yeah. This is a friend of mine. So, Mr. Society, this is you've been a huge help. I can't thank you enough. So today, the purpose of tonight is to talk about reason number two, and I know I mentioned that, which is people who stopped going to church because they were hurt or traumatized or abused by the church. So I'll just give you a couple examples, and then if anyone else is in and would like to can speak to this at all, they can. But I had a whole lot of people that left uh, for reasons that I sort of characterized as church hurt. And like I said, somebody said that's not maybe not the best term for it, church trauma, church abuse, whatever term you would like to use. But there are the obvious ones that people were abused in the church by clergy or someone in the church. And so they stopped going to church because of that reason. And I can't imagine anybody that would fault them for that and say, well, shame on you for not going back to church. It seems much more Christ-like or decent to be like, yeah, I can't imagine. I wouldn't go to church if that happened to me either. Um, we had people who went through a divorce, and the church sort of made them feel very guilty and condemned because of that. More often than not, one of the people involved in the divorce, one side of the divorce, was welcomed to continue going to church and being part of a small group or being engaged, and the other person was sort of shunned and made to feel like they're not welcome anymore. I had a gal that said she stopped going. She got pregnant when she was 16, and the church brought her up onto the stage in front of the whole congregation to sort of shame her or be like, what you isn't that crazy
Oh
what you
my
did.
God.
So she told me the story. She said, I haven't gone back since I was forced to go till I was 18. That happened at 16. She had a child young, and then the church, the pastoral staff brought her up to be like, this is terrible or not right or whatever. And of course, so she turned 18, and she's like, I've never, like, she was such a deep scar from that, like such trauma from that experience, that she has no interest in ever going to church again. And I don't blame her.
Me neither.
People in my generation, I'm 43, young women who grew up kind of in the evangelical church in my time period, dealt with something called purity culture, which I wasn't aware of because I am a white man, straight man. Like I'm kind of the prototype of someone that won't experience church hurt, if that makes sense. I am the least likely to be injured morally or emotionally or spiritually in church. It's usually folks that are in some other kind of minority group, not just racially, but if you're a woman or if you are a member of the LGBTQ community, like young women that grew up in the church that I did were sort of made to feel like if they didn't remain 100% pure, that they were garbage, essentially. And I heard this story not one or two, or I would say 10 times from 10 different women. I stopped going to church because of purity culture. And when I heard it, it was almost foreign, like I wasn't familiar with it. Even though I grew up when it was happening, it didn't affect me because I wasn't made to feel like if I was impure, I was garbage. Um, so I know Susan and I have talked a couple other times. I don't want to put you on the spot, Susan, but I know you shared a little bit with me in the past. I don't. If you'd rather not share, that's fine. But if you want to get the ball rolling, I think there may be
Can you hear me
some
now?
others.
Barely,
Barely. Okay, let me turn my volume.
barely.
Um, I'm like,
Come closer to your mic or to your phone, whatever device you are on. Come closer to it.
can you hear me now?
No, you said you found farther away.
I'm farther away. Okay. Well,
There you
um,
go.
There we
okay.
go.
Yes,
How about now?
Perfect.
great, great.
Okay. It's good to talk to you, Ryan.
Thank you,
Um,
Susan.
I'm happy to share whatever you want me to share. Um, I'll tell just a little bit. I was married to a pastor for 28 years, and we lived in a town in a really red state. And he got sick with cancer, and we had a quote unquote apostle over us. I think he was probably part of the apostolic reformation that I'm not familiar with. It's something like NAR, Seven Mountain Mandate thing. Anyway, he was like my husband's pastor. And as he got sick, as my husband's cancer progressed, he made a lot of promises to us about what the church would do as he died and what they would do to take care of me. Because he had promised to set us up a retirement account, never did do it.
Mm,
He said he would make sure that when my husband passed away that he would provide a year's worth of salary for me to, because we didn't have any kind of retirement at all, a year's worth of salary to me till I got on my feet. My husband passed away, and the week we had the memorial service a week later, and that man came to me at the memorial service and said, well, I don't think I need to continue with the support, because I've really been supporting him up till now, and that's almost been a year. So I think you understand, there won't be any more support. He said it the day of the memorial service. And so I just sort of stood there stunned. Um, and I was not one to like chase after money. Money was not important to me, except that my husband reassured me over and over and over to trust that that money would be there after he died. So I, so I believed him, but I didn't run after that man and say, "What about the money you promised?" So I just sort of let it go, and we struggled. And then I didn't grieve very well. I began drinking heavily. And one by one, the church members in the church turned away from me, um, down to where I had one friend left in the church body. Um, my youngest son got chronically ill, had to have a transplant. He no longer has a pancreas. Um, and that man that broke the financial promise to us actually showed up, and on the day of my son's transplant at the hospital said, is there anything that I've done to uh, the, that I've done to hurt you? I'm concerned about my son living or dying that day. And he wanted to talk about, he knew what he did. He knew exactly what he did. God love him. But um, I felt betrayed by someone who presented himself as a man of God to my husband and to myself and to our church, because we sent, it's so sad how so much in church revolves around money. We sent that man money every month. My husband and I would often go without a paycheck so we could send him his money.
Yeah.
So, he just basically didn't do what he said he would do. And then all my friends in the church, they were my church family. They one by one began turning against me. I ended up going to rehab, got sober. I haven't had a drink in 8 years. And that was just part of the grief process that I chose, and it was a bad choice. I don't hear from any of them anymore. They have all turned away. I now don't even live in that little town. I live in the big booming town of Houston. And it's nice to be kind of invisible, because in the small town that I lived in, everybody knew me. Everybody knew I was grieving poorly and had lost all the friends that we had. And so at that time, I just was like, I don't need any of this. I don't want any part of this thing called church. It didn't ever, my faith didn't waver, but I credit God for that, because if it had been up to me, I feel like I would have lost my faith. I feel like God held on to me when I could not hold on to him any longer. So, I hope someday to perhaps find an actual church to go to. But this right here, I met you, Ryan, on Instagram and started reading through the Bible with you, and there's several others, and praying for each other. And that has been the most close to church in a good way that I've been since I left. And I can't thank you enough, because it's restored my hope in humanity. You have a heart like my husband did. He would be mortified at what's happening now in our country and in the church. But I'm healing. And I feel like a lot of people have probably experienced similar things to me. And I'm open to share anything else that you want me to.
No, this is excellent, Susan. Thank you. I had heard parts of that from our interactions before, but not nearly in that detail. And I had questions about it. Even hearing bits of your story, my mind is such that I'm just like, what happened? Where is she at now, or what?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just out of curiosity. Did when you lost your husband in the time after that, did anyone step up and provide, outside of the church family, come alongside you or surprise you with their support? Or no?
You want to know who did?
Yeah.
Great. My husband got involved in the community theater there in our little town. And I'll just say it like it is. The outcast are in the community theater. The LGBTQ community is in the community theater. People,
they were there for you?
This story will blow your mind. They loved him. They called him the community theater chaplain. And they took up a collection. He had cancer and he was going through chemo, and they took up a collection and they bought him some Mary Jane and a device and brought it to the house from them. And they said we wanted to ease his pain. And it was hilarious and precious, and Paul wouldn't do it. My husband would not use the gift.
Yeah.
I used the gift.
Yeah.
I used the gift.
Yeah.
But that was the most touching thing, because they were like the opposite of our church. And they were more church-like.
Well, they are not just specifically that community, but you will find. I have found that the most Christ-like people are oftentimes not Christians or not
Yeah,
in the church.
exactly.
We had
Exactly.
this, yeah. I mean, I've had the same community, this a similar story. You know, my mom died
Yeah.
unalived. Sorry, my mom passed away on November 18th of just 9 months ago, and
Yeah.
um, I started the Instagram page on the day that she passed. I had thought about it because I had been working on it. I mean, I've been sort of collecting this information for 15 years. Just talk like all I do is have conversations with people about their life, and they're all often very deep and intimate conversations because we're in a very vulnerable and personal time when I come into people's lives. So they feel hopefully a little more open to sharing what they're struggling with, and so my mom loved people very well, very
Mm.
well, and anybody that got to spend time with her, you would feel loved by her. And
Mhm.
so when the number one answer for people stopping going, or that they no longer go to church, or they stopped going to church, is because Christians are hateful and judgmental.
Yes.
Um, I think, man, shouldn't be that way, right? It wasn't that way with my mom. But when she passed, we had a kind of a network in our church group, and we had a network in my work and neighborhood. That in the neighborhood group is some blend of agnostic, or I know one family that is the wife who's close to my age. Was the purity culture that she grew up in was pretty rough, and so she's out on church. I don't think she would call herself a Christian anymore. And then we have other friends that I don't really know where they stand. I think they're agnostic or atheist or wherever they are. But we had this kind of team of 10 people in the church, and this team of 10 people in our neighborhood that are not part of a church. That was sort of the network that we had built our lives around. We just moved here 3.5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And the response, the support that we got from the neighborhood group was absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. And some of it happened even with when Mom was still alive. She had Alzheimer's. She fell, which you're a nurse, right, Susan?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah. So you know the drill. Like a late stage Alzheimer's patient that has a fall with like a catastrophic fracture. That's not good.
No.
They often, so, and we knew, and I've done this long enough that I knew after Mom fell, this is not good. Like this is usually whatever the disease process was. This hits sort of like a 10x on the speed, and it did. She fell October 29th. She passed on November 18th. So a little less than 3 weeks. And during that time, I was with my mom 22 hours a day. And so was my dad, and so was my brother. Like it was kind of all hands on deck to help her finish well. There was a lot of pressure on me because that's the reason I moved here, was to help her finish well. I was doing hospice chaplaincy in Chicago for the first 12 years of my career, and helping all these strangers finish well as best I could. And it just felt not right to not be here for my mom and dad to help them finish well, if that makes sense. So after Mom fell, it was a kind of an all hands on deck situation, and the network of people, the non-church network that we built was unbelievable. They brought meals, because my wife is a rock star, but I also have an 8-year-old and a 7-year-old and a 5-year-old. So it's a lot to manage. And they did not have a meal. They were not without a meal, breakfast, lunch, or dinner for 22 days. So it wasn't like I had any like preconceived, hey, we have these two networks, let's see which one is really going to come through for us when it's crunch time.
Right.
It just happened that way, and it's been amazing to see. Like I'm obviously so grateful for those friends, and it took our friendship from in a lot of cases we were sort of acquaintances, and now we are friends because they walked with my family through a tough time. So there's no part of me that's surprised that your husband, I love that he went and got plugged into the theater group. Like, I
He
don't know what,
loved it. He
that's awesome.
loved it. And he got grief from people in the community. You shouldn't be
Sure.
going down there and being in those plays with those gays, blah blah
Yep.
blah. And he was like, they're the best people I've been with. I love
Exactly.
them. A
Yeah.
couple of them spoke at his memorial service.
I love that. Yeah.
It
I
was
love that.
it was precious. They're precious.
Yeah. They are. And they are more Christ-like
Yes.
in so many ways.
Yes.
Um, yeah. I wish when folks heard Christian, they thought of the theater group.
Yes.
Unfortunately,
Exactly.
it's that's not who comes to mind. That's why, like when I started this church, Reconsider Church, one of my dear friends. So I started this with a couple buddies of mine who have also stopped going to church for different reasons. One stopped going because I don't think he'd mind me sharing. We're pretty close. I've known him all my life, but one stopped going because of the pandemic. So he and
Yeah.
his wife, and they had a little. I mean, she's 12 now, but she was 7 then. They stopped going because that was the general recommendation from the CDC. Like, it's not safe to go pack into a small building with a whole bunch with 300 people and no masks and no, like,
Hmm.
it was not a good idea. But their church was decided to kind of take the line of we're not going to let anybody keep us from gathering. So they
Yeah.
had this resistant approach that we are going to meet and we're going to gather. We're not going to be afraid, and God is with us. All that stuff. But my friend and his wife and their 7-year-old were like, we're not going. That seems like an extremely foolish thing to do. So
Yes.
they stopped going for March, April, May of 2020, and then when they got to May or June, and in that summer, they started to sort of open things back up again. It was really bad those first 3 or 4 months, and then
Hmm.
in the summertime, I think they were starting to open some restaurants and have some gatherings, and then like in October, it locked down again.
Hmm.
But in that 3 months that they were home, they started to like struggle with, I don't understand why that church is just meeting with everybody together. And they had heard stories of people who had gotten very sick, that like church going, that had gotten very sick and unalived. I'm going to end up unalived. I'm going to end up saying the wrong thing here because I don't know what I'm doing. There's a lot of words. I'm learning this. There's a lot of words that you can't say. Not curse words. I think those are fine, but there's some list of words that I should probably memorize that you're not allowed to say. But they had folks in their church that had gotten sick with COVID and had passed because of COVID, and so it was sort of like the whole world of church and faith came crashing down for my friend and his wife. Like, I thought the whole thing was that we care about other people and that we consider others better than ourselves, and that we would try to protect it. In theory, it should be the Christians first with the masks, right?
Exactly.
Like, it should. If there was only a 10% of the population of the states that was wearing masks at the beginning of the pandemic, it should, in theory, be all of the Christians.
Yes, to protect everybody else.
Yes, I don't want to get you sick. And I mean, the whole reason that most of the time, the reason that I wore one, or I was able to get the vaccine shortly after, like right after it came out in January.
Hmm.
I was not thinking about myself. I was thinking about my neighbor's grandma that lived with her, and I was thinking, like, that should be, I think, the way that it goes. But that was so troubling for my best friend that they stopped going, and then even when it opened up again, they were like, I don't get it. I don't understand anymore, because they couldn't make sense of the church's decision or response to the pandemic. So and the pandemic, I think, was number 8 or something on the list of why people stopped going to church or don't go to church. COVID was like the number 7 or 8 or 9 response on the list of 13 things. And so they fell into that camp. Another friend left for some theological reasons that we've sort of already discussed. And I know you touched on this. It doesn't sound like it was part of your experience, but I hear often of people that are told that they're going to be healed, or that they have a pastor or a prophet that's going to heal them from their cancer.
Oh, that was part of it too.
Yeah.
I just
Did
didn't
you
mention
did you
it.
experience that?
Yes, a very famous televangelist, actually more on the radio, I think podcasting now, that is a friend or was a friend of my husband's family, called him about 2 weeks before he passed and said, brother, you need to be believing, and God wants to raise you up. And
Yeah.
and my husband said, thank you, Andy. Sorry, um, but I have peace with God if it is my time to go home and be with the Lord, and I have peace with God. My family, we're working towards being peaceful with whatever God chooses for me. And this friend of the family just rejected that and said, you're not used in your faith. You're not. You need to stir yourself up in your most holy faith, etc.
Yeah.
And they ended. My brother-in-law took the phone from him and rescued him. It it hurt my husband. It just made me angry
Yeah.
because stuff like that did happen a lot,
Yeah.
a lot. And I didn't even
Can
go
I
into
ask you,
that, but
can I ask
yeah,
you
it happened.
what you mean when you said it hurt your husband? Can you
It
unpack that just a little?
He truly, when you have cancer and you wrestle with your mortality and you get to a place of trusting the Lord with the outcome, and then you're not going to be long for this world, and you're at a place of peace, a couple of weeks before you die, to have somebody that you have known for years call you up and say, you're doing it wrong, you're doing it wrong. Um,
You of little faith.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It hurt him. It didn't mess his peace up. It didn't make him stray from where God had brought him. But it was just more of the same, of the the ways, the silly, ridiculous ways that we Christians um, put our stuff on each other,
Yeah.
and we don't even realize what we're doing to somebody else when we do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Paul let it go after about an hour. I I'm sure I've let it go at some point. If I ever ran into him again, I'd probably love him, hug him, wouldn't say a thing. But um, it's just really when somebody's dying of cancer, as you know, being a hospice chaplain, that's the last thing somebody needs to hear is you're not using your faith enough. You should,
Yeah.
if you had enough faith, you wouldn't be in this situation.
Yeah.
It's absurd, and it was very hurtful. But it just made me angry because
Yeah.
that was where I was, just angry.
Yeah. I would be too. I mean, I've never experienced this myself, personally, but I have
Mm-hmm.
at least one or two or three folks that I visit as a
Mm-hmm.
hospice chaplain at any given moment. Like right now, I can think of three off the top of my head that I am visiting that they are fully expecting a miraculous healing.
Yes.
Somebody told them that. Some prophet
Yes.
came to their church and told them that,
Yes.
and when I go in, um, I obviously I kind of have to walk on eggshells. I can't talk about any of the things, like I can't help folks prepare
Right.
everything if any of those discussions are off limits.
Right. Right.
It just sort of handcuffs me, and they just come in like I'm like, how can I be of support to you, to your family? What can I do to support you all? And the response is, we need you to join us in praying for this miracle that we have been promised, that is
Yeah.
without a doubt coming. And
Yeah.
then it becomes a question of like, if that person passes, somebody must have had a lack of faith. Someone must have not believed that it was going to happen.
Yeah.
No, and that's devastating.
That's gonna be some of the hardest chaplain work you've done.
It's my least favorite. Like I love
Yeah.
I love hard chaplain work. Did
Yeah.
everybody get the chance to see my sign? It's very official.
I love it. I love it. And it's backwards
It's
because you're
backwards.
on TikTok. So
Yeah. I put
I
this
love,
up out of like as a bit of comedy for
I love
myself
it.
because it's handwritten. I
Yeah.
put it up. I, as I mentioned, there is no money in this church. I had to buy this because I lost my phone and it cost me $24 out of pocket. I wasn't happy about it.
I don't
Um,
blame you.
yeah.
Well, you
So
look real official.
yes, I feel it. Somebody clipped it on their hat, but I couldn't figure that out. It's a good idea because then I don't. Then I'm kind of hands free,
Yeah.
which I would like. But my cousin was on last week. We had a fun discussion. Oh, you were a part of it.
I was
He's a
listening. It was awesome.
yeah. He's a great guy, and so we had a good laugh about that because this is very much my personality. It looks like I'm trying to be like official, but it's really just
You did it on purpose. That's
oh
awesome.
yeah. I mean, I put it up and then I saw it's reversed and backwards, and then I was just like, I'm absolutely leaving it up
Absolutely.
for the comedy of it. But man, Susan, I am so appreciative of you sharing some of this. Obviously, the stories like this, they're all unique, they're all different, but stories like that, so several of the things that you said are just like such a red flag goes up, or just like oh man, I've heard that
Yeah.
so many times, like people that got plugged into some sort of group, and God bless your husband for saying, I'm going to go plug into the theater.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
the church doesn't know how to handle this issue. And I know we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, but the church doesn't know how to handle that issue. The way your husband handled it was perfect. You're
Yeah.
supposed to go love everybody.
Yeah.
But the church is sort of like, our understanding of the Bible is that is wrong. That is sinful. To be a member of that community is
Right.
sinful. And
The best thing that anybody ever said was at another church. It got back to us. He said, "Well, you can go to Paul Derringer's church if you want to. If you want to have
yeah,
low, they have low standards."
yeah,
And
yeah.
Paul said that was the greatest
The
compliment
best,
anybody could have paid him.
the best compliment.
Yes.
Yeah. And so the church doesn't really tell, like, I have big theological issues with the stance that the Bible is clear that lifestyle is sinful. I think that's a big stretch. I think it's a big stretch, and I know I've done videos about this before, but it's a big stretch on the translation of the term,
Uh-huh.
and
Exactly.
it's a big stretch with something called hermeneutics. Like, how do we take the Bible from when it was written to, in its context, to who it was written to, and how do we apply that today?
Exactly.
So I have patients still that are 70, 80, 90 years old, that if they see a young boy with long hair, they're like, that's not good. That's
Oh.
not good. Because of a misunderstanding of
Mm-hmm.
hermeneutics. So
Mm-hmm.
somewhere in First Corinthians or something, it talks about that, boys should keep their hair cut. And so
Yes.
they're trying to say what that text meant then applies
Right.
100% today, which it obviously doesn't, because there's other passages. There's other passages that we, of course, recognize as not applying to culture today.
Mm-hmm.
But the church has a history of wanting to pick a group to identify and say that group is more sinful than we are,
Exactly.
so that we can feel better about ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
It's essentially, we're just like a seventh grade bully.
Yes.
That's like, I can pick this group. Right now it's that community.
Mm-hmm.
But it hasn't always been that community. 50 years ago, it was the black community.
Yep.
40 years before that, it was women.
Yep. And it's both of those again.
Yeah,
Everything.
it is. It's all,
All
none of them.
again.
Yes, and none of them go away.
No.
Like I mentioned this before. This is just as I think I posted this at one point, and people weren't very happy. But the Southern Baptist Convention, the largest Christian convention in the United States, formed in 1845 to
Yep.
oppose the abolition of slavery.
Yes.
That's the whole reason that our denomination, like kind of our cultural white
Right.
Protestant evangelicalism in the United States, came together for
What a
that.
lovely, lovely legacy to.
Yes. Yep. And 150 years later, they apologized for it in 1995.
And they still embrace it.
They still do, for sure. They still do, for sure. They still do. I mean, I have people that I work with that they're married, and they feel because they are in an interracial marriage, they feel like they almost hide it, even from
Yep.
me. They're like,
Yep.
they try to like avoid, like if I'm seeing some white lady, she's trying to avoid acknowledging, like she's just like, I've been married 30 years, but I can tell she's like a little tense. And I see a picture, I'm like, I know why it's a shame. Obviously it's awful, but that was,
Horrible.
50 years ago, they would take some scripture and sort of twist why
Yeah.
we shouldn't marry someone other than within our race. I mean, there's no biblical precedent for it whatsoever.
Not at all.
Um,
And
but
I'm
you can,
afraid that's coming back around
we're
in the
going
future.
full steam ahead. That's why I mentioned that story. That's why
Mhm.
if nothing else, I feel the need to be a Dietrich Bonhoeffer. I want to be the one that
Yes.
if the American church is continuing to shift and be absorbed to the government, fine. But there needs to be a carve out that we are going to try to make for the
Yes.
Dietrich Bonhoeffer, for the confessing church that Bonhoeffer started in 1935 or whenever it was.
What a hero he was.
Yeah,
Or
absolutely.
is to this
And I'm
day.
kind of like, we're going to be that. So anyone that has left the church for any reason, I would love to have join us. And you know this already, Susan, but there's only 3 things that this church does. Try to read the Bible, read a book of the Bible each month with somebody if you can. Pray for that person throughout the month as you're reading it.
Mm-hmm.
And then do something to help someone in need. So there's 4 things that I do with I'll tell a quick story. I don't want to get kicked out of here. I got kicked out of here. Do you know anything about that, Mr. Society? I got the boot after an hour last time I did this, which is fine.
Were you on Teacup?
I was on
Were you on Teacup?
I did a TikTok
No.
live. I was the host. I did it a week ago. I was on a TikTok live as the host, and after 1 hour, it said your live is going to end in 5 minutes. Have you ever heard
New.
that?
No, that's a new one for me. Well, so it could be because of the engagement and everything, but
Okay.
but then again, also at the same time, it's just new. Period. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, it was fine with me. Like I was talking to my cousin last Wednesday and we were still rolling at the hour mark. So I just ended it. And then I just restarted it again because there's only,
All right.
I think it was,
That's what you exactly do. That's exactly what you do.
okay. Well, thank you. And thank you for the help because I was stressed about the money thing. That, like I said, that the money thing we'll talk about. We haven't addressed that next or yet. That's number 4. Today is number 2.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's anybody else that's listening or listened. Is it 3? Is that what that means? There's 3
You
people?
got 4 other. You got 4 people total in the live.
Okay.
So if they
Well,
are listening, they're not saying anything. Let me double check. Oh, there's 3 total people. So
yeah, there
if
was
they
somebody
are,
else.
so
Yeah. No, that's perfect. There was somebody else that mentioned today, and I didn't expect it to. I know that there are thousands and thousands and thousands of folks that don't go to church anymore because of church hurt.
Right.
Just based on I've had 50 conversations with folks that have had, because the reality is these 13 reasons that people don't go to church anymore. It's not number 2 applies to me, and only number 2.
Right.
It's often 2, 4, 9, and 12.
Uh-huh.
Oh, hi Teresa. She's been at it for. Susan Teresa's also been.
She's in our group.
She's been with us since the beginning.
Yeah.
It's fun to see her.
Teresa
I don't know why she said hello. There's a hello with a high
waving.
wavy face. The first few months that I did this, it was just my dad and me. We read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and then an aunt read for a couple of those, and then it was Teresa and you and a handful of other folks that started reading. But there are, I could share stories for 4 more hours of conversations that I've had with people who were hurt by the church. A lot of them purity culture related. And there are people that were hurt in all sorts of other ways. I made a video about the Pastor Mark Driscoll, who's basically like, if you were hurt by the church, just shut your mouth. The church is.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw up.
Yeah, he said he's gonna throw up. He said, if someone, So I don't think that's the right way to handle it. I have one of the things that I asked. I'll ask you, Susan, because you'll be able to answer this. But I ask people usually when they explain their story of how they were hurt by the church. I'm not a counselor. I don't have any. I'm not like a trauma specialist to be able to, or like a PhD in psychology or counseling to be able to coach them through or to offer them the kind of support that would take, I think, to unpack that trauma. So all I can say is like, I am so sorry that that happened to you. And I encourage them that I hope they know that they're not alone, that there's so many, way too many, countless other people that have experienced that same thing. And then I usually ask, did anyone ever apologize?
No, sir. And that's okay because I still have my faith. I have my family. I've been able to forgive. I did go through quite a bit of extensive therapy, not expensive, extensive therapy. Help, and it helped a lot. And no one has done that. No one has reached out. But that's all right. There's many opportunities we get to forgive that we're never asked to.
Yeah.
And that it has to be okay. And as I went through therapy and learned how to forgive, I've gotten better and better and better.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm not over it, but I think it will always be a part of me. But not the hurt, but that experience made me who I am today. It's given me a lot more compassion for others, and it's put my life on a trajectory I never thought it would be on. I feel like I could probably help somebody else that's been through it now. Whereas until you go through it, you're like, they did what? The Christians did what? But I feel at peace now. But he's been gone since 2013. It's 2025. It's taken a while.
Yeah. And good for you. So I asked people if anybody ever apologized. I just had this conversation last week. I had a similar conversation. And I know I told you this. I have to ask, as part of my initial assessment, I have to ask people's spiritual background or religious background.
Right.
It's not my favorite question. Like, I don't know why it's mandatory to ask it, but they make me ask it.
Yeah.
And I had a conversation last week where someone said, well, I was in the Baptist church for a long time. My husband and I were in the Baptist church for 20 years.
Yeah.
And they were plugged into a small group. Like, they were really involved in their church. And their small group, they were very open with about how they were having challenges in their marriage. And so they were pretty transparent. I think she gave the impression that the whole small group was like helping them along the way for years. And they ended up separating and then getting a divorce. And the small group, and I don't know the details. I don't know why this, I'm sure everybody there's always two sides to every discussion, but she said the small group was very welcoming, or was a very encouraging of her ex-husband to remain in that small group and in that church and to stay involved. And she was cast aside. Like, even the other wives, even the other women in that small group, nobody reached out there. They all just like a very concerted, very planned effort to just.
Yeah, I've seen that happen. Yeah, I've seen the same exact thing happen, and it's just unbelievable. Yeah. These are people that
happened like 25 years ago for her, and she hasn't been back.
These are the word we used to call it was church family.
Yeah. And
that's how they treat you. It's just unbelievable. I'm so sorry to hear that, but I've seen it happens a bunch with divorce.
I asked her the same question. I said, did anybody ever apologize to you? And she said, no. Wow. And then my next question was, would it have made any difference? Would it have helped at all? And she thought about it for a while. And she said, I don't know. That was her response. So that's not very helpful or insightful, but I've asked several people, and some people are, most people are like, maybe. Some people are like, no, it wouldn't have made a difference.
Yep.
And some people are like this lady, were like, it's hard to say because it never no one ever did. So it's impossible to sort of imagine that hypothetical, or how, if she would have felt any better about trying a different church or something like that, if somebody would have come and said,
Oftentimes those things are done too little, too late.
Yeah.
No.
Well, thank you, Susan. I don't know that I know there was a couple other people in the last couple of days that mentioned that they had a story that they wanted to share, but I think we have a handful of people here, and I don't think Mr. Society knows how to check. Let's see, guests.
Yes. Yeah. How many people are here?
Well, now it says 6, but
Yep.
I don't think that's right.
The Broken Matrix. You got several.
Oh.
Well, there was a couple that I spoke with this week that said that they had a story that they would like to share, and that's okay. I feel kind of an obligation to, at any point, if anyone would like to share their story, we'll take a week off from what we had planned to discuss to hear that story, because I think there's some healing in just sharing it. And I am grateful, Susan, for your sharing bits and pieces of it before tonight and then sort of filling in the gaps tonight.
Sure.
I'm sorry. We obviously know that it shouldn't be that way, right? Like that's the case with all these issues, either whether it's financial corruption or church hurt or how we've handled the LGBTQ community, all of those issues. My feel always is we're aware that it shouldn't be that way, right? Like
Right.
the church should not look like what it looks like now. And so I think this effort that we're doing here is the closest thing that I could come up with to the first century church, the way that the church is supposed to operate.
Yeah.
And that's to try to get to know Christ more. The best way to do that is to read one of the Gospels.
Yes.
And people think they're hard to do. You can read it. Anybody that's listening, it's not. I know it's hard to do. But if you go to the book of Matthew, there's 28 chapters. It takes 4 minutes a day.
Yeah.
You can read it. You will read about Jesus's life, and it's pretty and amazing stuff. So read that. Read it with a friend or a significant other. Read it with them and pray together. And then when we're done, we do 4 things. I take my kids. I'll tell you a quick story before I don't want to keep everybody too long, but we do 4 things each month when it comes to doing something to help people in need. So we're reading Matthew together. I'm praying for the folks that are also reading Matthew. I don't know. I know that you are, and I know that Nancy and I know that Teresa are also praying for the people in the group.
Yes.
There are some other people that said, I'll read the book of Matthew. I don't know if maybe they read 1 chapter, maybe they read 3 and then they stopped, and that's fine. Like I'm never gonna follow up and be like, hey, did you finish chapter 12? Are you keeping up with what we're doing? Because if not, that's a shame. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me. Like I think a lot of folks don't want to read or don't want to commit to reading with someone else because of like the guilt and shame that comes with it. Like when you crap out, if you try to read through like Chronicles or Leviticus or Numbers, it's just like it's long and people stop and then they feel ashamed and they're like, I don't have the courage to tell Ryan that I stopped reading a month ago. I'm like, we need to get rid of that entirely. So the people that are reading Matthew this month, they may have stopped. Hopefully they're not. There's somebody messaged me today that said they finished Matthew and they're moving on to Mark.
I'm almost done myself.
Good for you. I'm a day behind. I think I'm on like Matthew 12, just slow and steady. I just will get to the end. But praying for the people that said they wanted to give it a try. And then the 4 things that we do as our family. Our family is the church at this point in time here. And we do those 4 things. So the first Sunday of the month, my kids, who are 5 and 7 and 8, will pack lunches. And we put $5 in it, and they pack them themselves. They enjoy doing it. And we drive out through the community until we find folks that are living on the street that need it. And my kids pick who they give it to, which is kind of fun. They're like, I want to give it to that guy or to that gal. Um, I you have to be a little careful. There's parts of town where you can, like, I'm not going to let my 5-year-old go to somebody that looks like that could be not safe for her to do. So I'm using kind of common sense and some caution. But that we do that the first Sunday. The next Sunday we go to there's a foster home here that we sponsor. One of the cabins, or they have 6 houses at the foster home with um, 5 to 10 folk, young folks in each house, and one of the houses didn't have a sponsor, so we sponsor that house. Which all we do is we take dinner there, take the kids, they play with with the foster kids, which is an amazing thing to see, because the boys that at the foster home are like 13, 14, 15 years old, and to see them teaching my 8-year-old how to ride a skateboard, it's really good for my 8-year-old. It's really good for that 16-year-old too.
Yeah.
So that's been one of my favorite things to do. And then I do like a church service on the last Sunday of the month. We take a little money to an elementary school that has students in it that don't have money on their lunch account balance. Like they have a negative balance that's on their school lunch.
That's precious.
We take a little bit of money and I'm not independently wealthy or anything. I mean, if I could take more, I would. And then we go to a senior living facility. And that one's free. I take all the kids to the senior living facility, and they give out hugs and high fives and just kind of make everybody's day. And that one doesn't cost any money. It's a highlight. It's a highlight for my kids. Yeah. It's a highlight for the residents. I think they love it. But we did this just a couple days ago on Sunday, 3 days ago on Sunday. We did the lunches, and my kids started asking questions like, "Why are we doing this?" And I was able to tell them, like, this is what we are supposed to do as a follower of Christ. Really, the only mandate of the church is to take care of the poor. That's the only thing. That's the primary objective of the church, is to take care of the poor. And we are horrible at it, because churches are corporations now. They're kind of.
It's not very glamorous work.
Yes. No, but that's the primary objective of the church, is to care for the poor. And so I got to have that conversation with them, and they were like, "Are these folks poor?" And I'm like, "They are." Like, and they're like, "Are we poor?" I'm like, "We're not." Look, we don't have to worry about where we're going to sleep or where our next meal will come from. And so they said, "Are we rich?" And I'm like, "That's a hard question." I'm like, "No, we're not rich, but relative to the world, we're insanely rich, right? Like relative, it depends on where you look. Relative to the rest of the world, I think we are rich." Yeah. But we had those conversations. We had the conversations, and my 8-year-old said out of nowhere, "Elon Musk has $400 billion. That's what he said, 8 years old. And I said, "He does." He said, wow. Does he give and help people?" And I'm like, "Not that I've ever heard of." I could be wrong. I could be wrong about that, but you don't see a whole lot of like philanthropic.
Not the news.
Yeah. So we had, like, it was we were gone. We drove around for 45 minutes, and the last 9 times we've done this, it's sort of painful for them, and they're kind of like, "Okay, can we just hurry up and get this done and get home?"
Yeah.
That was not the case on Sunday. When it was really exciting to me, like they were starting to understand, this is why we're doing this. We are supposed to do this, and we are very fortunate and very blessed that we have a place to sleep, a consistent place to sleep, and food that we can eat, and not everybody has it. They're starting to understand that. And when I got home, I felt very glad that we're doing this, because I think if I were plugged into a church, I would not feel the obligation to do what we're doing.
I understand.
I would be checking the box of I'm taking my kids to church. That's what you're supposed to do. I don't think that they would understand what how we are supposed to be as Christians.
Right.
So I'm instilling that in them when it's exciting. And it's also been exciting that there was 2 other people that joined us. That's and awesome. There's 5 other people that have been going to the assisted living facility, which is great. Like I always anticipated this would just be the 5 of us, my family. But other people in our neighborhood have gotten wind and like, "Hey, can we come with you when you do in your living facility?" I'm like, "This is fantastic. Absolutely. You can come with me. You can do it wherever you are, and find your own creative way to do it." I know a lot of people already do it. Like when they're at the grocery store or something, and they're about to spend $80 on groceries, and they see somebody that's trying to come up with 12 and they're short or whatever, and you're like, "You know what? Let me swipe for you." that's in the heart of most people, I
Yes.
think. And I think even most Christians. But we're heading into some interesting times, I think.
Yes, we sure are.
And I just want to make sure we are on the right side of this.
Amen.
So we'll be Bonhoeffers.
Yes. Little
Um,
Bonhoeffers.
exactly. All right. I thank you guys so much. Susan, you have been a support from the beginning. Mr. Society, thank you for all this help and for the time, for being on here for an hour and spending this time out of your evening. I would love to join I try to join Mr. Society, but they're up. He and the folks that they go till 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm too old. I got
Hey, you
no.
only 7 years older than me, dog. Don't do that. Don't do that. You only 7 years older than me.
You're 36.
Princess! Yeah, I'm 36.
Good for you. Good for you. Well, this
Not
has been a
not
huge.
good, man.
I love it.
Shoot, I
Well,
my behind is an insomniac and a freaking and I got PTSD. So of course I don't like being up this late, but I had no choice. Dang
yeah.
it.
Yeah, good for you. I'm sorry, but I don't. I feel like you said that almost like it was a joke, but it's probably not because you were in the service, weren't you?
It, yeah, it's a joke and like it's hurtful at the same time, but it's not that big a deal.
Yeah.
Like don't worry, I went to psychiatry for it. Yeah, I went to therapy for it. It's all good.
Yeah.
Good for you, man.
Like,
Thanks for your service, and I know
Yes.
I've gotten to know a little bit about you from the other lives, your criminal justice background and your insights and wisdom. I didn't have any of that when I was 36. Maybe I still don't. So keep
man,
up the good
I
work.
got wisdom. I just got life experience, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I have. I joined last night for a little bit. I had some questions, but I didn't feel like interjecting them just because it didn't feel like the right time. Like everyone else was it was lighthearted. People were having fun, and I didn't want to drop some bombshell question. But I have more
Oh
questions for you. I see Princess too. I don't know how to say hi back.
yeah.
Let's see.
So you literally just say hi. Just all you have to do is say hi because it's
Ah,
as the host. Sometimes it's hard for us to actually type hi, but just know that you see them, they see you,
good. Hi,
and
Princess.
you see that they say hi.
She just said that too. Thank you. Hi, Princess. LOL. I see it.
Princess just say hi.
I'm learning. I'll get there
You're
eventually.
learning.
'Cause I don't have any intention
Okay,
of
yeah.
stopping. We have other big, heavy topics to talk about moving
Oh,
forward.
yes.
And like I said, if somebody else sees this or saw it or is seeing it now and was hurt by the church in some way, I want to hear that story. And I want to just say sorry to Susan. It's amazing that you learned from this and you now take it as kind of a part of your life experience and part of making you who you are today. I think that's
Mm-hmm.
amazing in a way and also a really unfortunate way to get there. I wish it could have been different. Uh, One last question. You said 8 years. I am also 8 years sober. Did I tell you this? Did you know this?
No.
Yeah, September 4th.
Wow. May 19th.
May 19th, so you're already at 8 years?
Yes.
Congrats to
Yes.
both of y'all.
It's the
Congrats.
Congrats
best.
to both of y'all.
It is
Mine will
the
be,
best thing I ever did.
yeah, it was,
Besides have my kids.
yeah.
It's just the best. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I'm not at 8 years yet. September 4th is my date.
It's
Oh, Princess, is there any way, Princess, would you be up for sharing or what do you think? I don't want to put you on the spot. I would love to hear it. She says she still believes.
Nah, I sent her an invitation. She gonna come up here.
Yeah.
awesome.
She said, I was hurt by the church, but I still believe in God.
Amen.
You are
Me
not
too.
alone. You are not alone, Princess. Yeah. Well,
Unless you
not
want to
to,
do it another day,
that's
you
okay.
know.
Anytime you're up for it.
Not tonight.
Anytime. Yeah. But thanks for coming and
Okay.
saying hi. Yeah, I get that. I get that, Princess.
Yeah.
Um, it is personal for a lot of folks. And I've heard that a lot of times too. That they're just like what happened to me. That the reason that I don't go to church is because something traumatic or some sort of abuse or something heavy happened, and they've gone through it with a therapist and they don't want to revisit it. And I respect that fully. Princess, you don't ever have to share it, but if you ever want to, I would love to hear it. But that's not no pressure at all. But thanks for joining and thanks for saying hi. Thanks for teaching me that you don't have to try to figure out how to just say hi back. Hi. Well, thank you. Thanks for doing this. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Mr. Society. We'll be back. I'm trying to make this Wednesday nights until we get through
Wednesday
all.
nights. Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah. So that's what I've done. This is the third Wednesday.
I can't promise that I'll come on every Wednesday night.
That's okay. Anytime, we'd love to have you. And thanks for sharing a bit. And I'll probably join you if I'm able. Like I said, this is when I start to get tired. Old Man River.
Shoot.
All right.
See you guys. Thanks so much.
All right. I'm a hop off.
Y'all.
See ya.
Bye-bye. Bye, Ryan.
See you.